What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Blackblade and welcome back to my channel. I've been playing the new season 2 of the Diablo 3 RoS, and I would like to share to you a build that I've been working on. Of course, we are going to be using the Barbarian for this build, so let's get into the gearing first. Alright, so we are going to be using the Raekor set for this build to take advantage of the 5-piece set bonus, which is the enemies deal 3,000 weapon damage for over 3 seconds. Now 3,000 weapon damage is actually pretty huge, and the effect is similar to a poison or a bleed effect, which is damage over time. And of course the 4-piece set bonus, which is Furious Charge, gains the effect of every rune. This is a pretty powerful skill in my opinion. Simply because it stuns the enemies for a couple of seconds, plus it regains the charges, so you could just stun the monsters over and over again before they are able to attack you. And this set will actually allow you to do up to Griff's level 30 even if you don't have the Unity ring on your possession, which as you can see I do not have, but I can do Griff's level 30 and 31 with little to no problem at all. So for the Raekor set, we are going to be using it for our boots, for our pants, for our gloves, and for our helm. This is of course to give way for our shoulders for the Vile Ward. Now what the Vile Ward does is, I think they changed this one, I'm not exactly sure, but the Vile Ward now, as you can see in the orange text over on the bottom, the Furious Charge deals 35% increased damage per enemy hit while charging. So that is an additional overall damage to the Furious Charge that we are going to use. So that's going to be one of the important parts that you're going to be needing in your gear. And of course, for our belt, we are going to be using the new legendary called the Undisputed Champion. This allows our frenzy to gain the effect of every rune. So yeah, one of our primary skills will of course be frenzy. Alright, now for our armor, we are going to be using the 2-piece or the 2-piece or 3-piece set bonus coming from the O Guild set, simply because we don't have the Unity ring yet. So this is kind of like the poor man's version of the Unity ring if you don't have it, simply because it reduces the damage from or it gives us a bonus of damage reduction from the elite packs by 15%, plus it adds some increased damage against elites also by 15%. So you may want to choose and get these two early in the game if you don't have, or if you're still hunting for the Unity ring. These two will actually pretty much help you a lot. Now when it comes to the amulet, I wasn't really lucky to get an amulet which has a socket, but instead I got this one. Instead of rolling socket, I re-rolled a critical hit damage instead, because the amulet is actually one of the only sources where you could get 100% when it comes to critical hit damage. So that will outweigh any, in my opinion, that will outweigh any sort of unique gem. So yeah, that's why I chose this one. But what you'd really want there is critical hit chance, critical hit damage, your primary stat, and then your and then a socket for your gem. But I'm probably going to get that soon enough when I play the game some more. Of course, we are going to be using the Ring of Royal Grandeur and any ring which has critical hit chance, damage, primary stat, and then a socket. Ideally, what you'd really want to use is the Unity ring, but it's pretty hard to find, and I haven't been lucky to get one. So yeah, I'm going to be using that one. Yeah, for our unique gems, we are going to be using the Mirani Teardrop Star Weaver, simply because the 3,000% weapon damage is a huge damage bonus, and we get that every 5 seconds, aside from the 15% chance of getting it, getting it to proc while we're attacking. So that's going to be a pretty good additional DPS for our character. So you may want to use that, either you're going for Monk or for Barbarians or for the Crusaders. This is a pretty powerful unique gem in my opinion. And for our other gem, I chose to use one of the new unique gems out there, which is the Molten Wildebeest Gizzard. What this does is it increases our regeneration by 35,000 per second, plus the rank 25 bonus is that we get a 200% absorb shield bonus for 4 seconds if we if we do not take any damage for 4 seconds, which is pretty interesting, and it's a really good lifesaver. In total, my life per second is at 42k. I haven't been lucky with the other rolls in my other gear, so yeah, 42k is actually pretty good, but what you're really shooting for is probably 50 to 60k if you can shoot for that one. But 42k is already good in my opinion, or in my testing. Now for our weapon, we are going to be using the Stalgards Decimator for this build. Haven't been lucky to get a Ramalandis yet, so I re-rolled the attack speed for a socket. But if I do get a Ramalandis, what I'm going to do with the socket is I'm going to re-roll that one into the 10% damage, and then add the Ramalandis to add the additional socket. This is a pretty powerful weapon. I'm really enjoying this one simply because it gives a lot of strength and vitality, and of course add to that it gives a huge additional AoE, the axe, which deals 689% weapon damage as physical. It's a really powerful weapon, especially if you get it into the ancient version. Now when it comes to weapon, you have a lot of choices actually, but I recommend I recommend two. If you don't have the Stalgards Decimator yet, I recommend that you guys get the Bastion's Reverend, because it allows your frenzy to stack up to 10 times, so that's going to help your your frenzy deal much more damage. So you may want to think about using that one. The next and the most powerful of all is of course the Furnace. If you could get this one, go ahead and use it. Now the reason that I'm not using this one for this build is because that the Stalgards Decimator rolled as an ancient type, which means that it does a lot more damage compared to the Furnace. The 689% weapon damage, the axe that gets thrown completely beats the increased damage against elites by 40%. In my testing, I've been killing much more efficiently with the Stalgards Decimator rather than the Furnace. But don't get me wrong, if the Furnace rolled as an ancient type, of course I'm going to be using the Furnace. But right now it didn't. But then we'll see. Probably if I get 2 Ramalandis, I don't know, that's going to be really impossible. As you can see, I'm already at 254 in my Paragon, and I have yet to find a Ramalandis. It's goddamn rare. It's just too rare. But anyway, yeah, I might change the socket here into a 10% damage and to a 10% additional damage, and then add a Ramalandis on that one. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes, in the future. So I guess that's about it. Let me show you guys my stats here real quick. Crit hit chance 46.7, crit hit damage 468. All of our resistances are at above 1.1k, which is really good. Life per second is at 42k. Life per hit not so good at 2k. Our maximum life is at 751k. And well, I guess that's about it. Did I discuss anything else? Oh yeah, when it comes to your third gem, when it comes to your third unique gem, you could either there's actually only 2 choices that you have here, because you already have some life regeneration, so that's on the defensive part. On the third gem, you may want to choose something that's offensive again, and you only have like 2 choices here, either Bane of the Powerful or the Bane of the Trap, or if you want, you could probably go with the Gogok of Swiftness. But for me, I think I'm going to choose either Bane of the Trap or the Bane of the Powerful for my third skill gem. Alright, so let's go into our skill set. Again, we are going to be using Frenzy. It doesn't really matter what rune you choose because of the Undisputed Champion, of course. And then for our second skill, we're going to be using the Furious Charge. Doesn't matter what skill rune that you use, again, simply because we're using the Raekor set. So yeah. For our other series, we're going to be using the Battle Rage with the Marauder's Rage. This is of course to maximize our damage input. Aside from the additional 15% damage, we get a 3% increase critical hit chance. So this is a really powerful skill for any Barbarian build. For our utility, we're going to be using Sprint with the Marathon for the 40% increased movement speed. And for our other skill, of course, we're going to be using the Wrath of the Berserker with the Insanity. This is a really good anti-CC and a really good damage boost if you want to do a really huge damage burst in a short period of time. Our last skill will be Warcry, of course, with the Impunity. This is to increase our armor and, of course, our resistances. Since we are not going to be using any Fury Spender, we are going to be using the Berserker Rage to take advantage of the additional 25% damage while we are at maximum Fury. And, of course, we are going to be using the Ruthless, a pretty powerful passive skill in my opinion, simply because we get a 40% additional damage to enemies which are below 30% of health. So you may wanna use this one. You will observe that most of the bosses, once they have 30% or below 30, once their health is or are below 30% of health, you're going to notice a huge damage difference with this one. And of course, we are going to be using the Rampage, and for our last skill, we're going to be using the Boon of Bulkathos for us to be able to use the Wrath of the Berserker, much more often. Alright, so I guess I've talked enough. Of course, we're going to be using the Scoundrel for the additional crit chance that he does, for some more additional, for some more additional damage. Alright, so let's get into some gameplay. We are at Torment level 6. And we're going to choose the Festering Woods simply because there is a there's always a guaranteed there's always a guaranteed elite pack over here. Now I'm just going to show you the damage once we get our buffs up. Once we kill as many monsters as we can. What is wrong with my internet connection? I am having some lags. Alright, so as you can see, our overall damage is at around 2M. 2.1M without going into Berserker Rage. That is, of course, with all of the Frenzy charges up. Or maybe not yet, hold on. With all of the Frenzy charges up and the Rampage up and our Fury up, our maximum damage without the Wrath of the Berserker is at 2.1M, which is really awesome. Alright, so that was an elite pack over there. Let's go ahead and get into get into another one, which is located downish over here. Yeah, and I do apologize if I haven't uploaded any videos of late. Please forgive me because I have a lot of project and I have a huge shit ton of work that I have to finish. But yeah, I'm going to be going through some other builds in this new season of Diablo 3, and then after that, when I get bored, I'm going to go back to Path of Exile and finish up all of the I am lagging, Jesus Christ, and I'm going to finish up all of the vlogs that I've made. And yeah, so let's get into some more gameplay over here because we still have time. There is one more elite packs down over here. So that's basically how the build goes. You just go into you just click Rampage and then you click Frenzy, and yeah, and that's about it. You own. It's pretty simple, and I really like simple builds, and I don't really like those complicated stuffs. Just as long as the build works, I'm really good. I'm really good with it. Alright, so here's the elite pack right here. Let's pop in the Berserker Rage and show you guys what's the maximum damage output. It's at 4 million with the Berserker Rage up. It's really awesome. You guys have to try this one, and it's not really hard to assemble. Actually, I've actually finished the gear gearing up the character at about Paragon level 150. The only reason that I was really pushing the build or farming was because I really wanted to get some Unity, and I just couldn't get the Unity ring. So yeah, I wasn't really lucky with that one. Alright, so I guess that's about it for this episode, guys. So thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoy the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'm gonna see you guys in the next part of my video. Have a good one.